You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey Slayers, welcome back for another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. And we are down to 2. Okay. This is the second to the last episode. Before we sunset the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. But we're going to start the same way we always start. So if you are new to the Slaying Self-Doubt journey, to the podcast, we want to welcome you. We want to thank you so much for joining our movement, no matter how you found me, whether it was by way of social media, YouTube, the podcast, somebody shared it with you. I don't know. However you found me, I just want to let you know that I'm so grateful that you are here. If you are listening to this, if you're listening and watching on YouTube, I would ask that you would subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the podcast if you're listening to it, share the YouTube channel if you're watching it. We still have a goal. I know it's December 8th. Okay, guys. I still have a goal to hit 100,000 downloads before the end of 2025. And it could happen. I'm not sure. It could be possible. And even whenever it happens, we're going to celebrate it. Okay. Because at some point in time, it is going to happen. Because throughout this process, I haven't really been looking at my numbers. And so I think I looked today and was like, oh, we're like 84,000, right? So it's possible. It may not happen this year, but that is the goal. Okay. So if you are new here, you're probably wondering how you got here, right? You know that what's that that sound that everybody uses? Like, you're probably wondering how I got here. How I got here, meaning how I got here, me personally. God gave me the vision to start my own business. And the first step was this podcast, to share my testimony, to talk about, what was going on with me. And I did that. Started that March of 2019, where I really fully went all the way in. And so we are with 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So 6 years. 6 years I have been podcasting. And I know for a fact that there is something else that I'm supposed to be doing. But in order for me to do that, I have to put this down. I have shared this numerous times on the podcast. I am somebody who does not burn bridges, okay? Because you just never know what you may need from somebody. And so I am a firm believer of we're going to let it fizzle out, or, just making sure that you end things on good terms. Right. And so I could have very easily, if you've been on this journey, there's been plenty of times where I've, what they call it, the quiet quit or whatever have you, where I just didn't show up for a while because life was happening or whatever have you. But I made a very intentional decision to sunset the podcast because I knew it was something that I couldn't just quit and let that just kind of be the end of it. So when I was writing this one out, like what I was going to talk about or whatever, and I was sharing with chat like what I wanted to discuss, the first sentence of what chat says is that this might be the most vulnerable episode yet. And in my mind, I said to myself, chat, you must have never heard any of my podcasts, because I've been vulnerable from the beginning. But I wanted to talk about, like I said, how we got here and how I made the decision to sunset the podcast. There's a lot of good that has come out of it. And even, during even things that are God-given sometimes have to end, right? Because there's a season for everything. And so I just want to use this time to just talk about the process of why I decided how I got here, right? And why I'm sticking to it, right? So the first part about this, the first part of this conversation is even the decision to sunset it. And so I had been struggling this last year and a half on what was I supposed to be doing, right? Again, very short backstory because y'all, this is episode 299. Okay. If you're listening for the first time, it's 299, which means you have 298 episodes to go back and listen to figure out how we ended up here. Okay. But here's the short version. Um, God is moving me into a different season. I know that for a fact. And sometimes, not sometimes, for me, I know that he's moving me into a different season. And in order for me to go and figure out what's there, I have to let go of what is keeping me here, right? Over the years, I've told my clients, you can't hold on to a tree and grass at the same time. Like, and remember, those are two different directions. The tree is growing up, right? The grass is gonna grow, but it's still on the ground. It'll never reach the level of a tree, right? And for me, I realized that I'm holding on to the tree, but I'm holding on to this grass because this is where I began. This is where it started. This is how my name even got out there. This is how my story got out there. This is how, when I'm going places randomly sometimes and people will be like, oh my God, I know who you are. And I tend to forget. Like, honestly, I'd be like, okay. For those of you all who know me in real life, my sister and I look alike. I don't see it, but apparently people think we're twins. Craziest thing ever, but whatever. And so oftentimes I think that people get me confused with her because she's very, very much so more social than I am, like in the real world. And so I'm always just kind of like, you got to be talking about my sister. And they're like, no, 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 I know you, slaying self doubt. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, that is me. Right. And so even knowing those things, like again, I've shared this before, like I'm super grateful for where I am and how I got here. And at the same time, all good things must come to an end sometimes. Like it is. And so I feel like that throughout this time, I was over this last year and a half, I think that the conversations I was having with myself and really with my therapist was struggling to figure out what was next. And we would just keep having this conversation. And she would just kind of be like, what is it that you like? What is it that you're struggling with? Right. And to be honest, it was guilt. I felt guilty for starting something, wanting to end something that God gave me. I felt like I didn't have the right, if that makes sense. It may not make sense, but this is just how I felt. I felt like I didn't have the right to say that I didn't want to do it anymore or that this space no longer served me, you know? And I was struggling with that because I was just like, bro, how do you say that you don't want what God gave? Like, that sounds crazy, right? Like, God gave me an opportunity, and I'm sitting here saying, like, well, I don't want it no more. And once I kind of dug a little deeper into what it was. Some of it was about the people that I've met along the way, right? That I felt like I was letting people down. That, oh man, if I stop using my voice in this way, like all the people who were associated with me or all the people who I've made connections with over the years and have collaborated with, and all of the different women that I have gotten to know personally, who I now call friends, right? And here's the thing, probably prior to this in 2019, I was a no new friends girl. Okay. But the number of women that I have met post this post leaning into this and really allowing God to grow me within the podcast and just in other areas, but slaying self doubt being the vehicle. I've made a lot of friends post that, right? And so I know that it was for a purpose. I know that this platform was um I know that this platform was intentional, right? I didn't get it in the beginning because I was dealing with my own stuff. And again, if you go back, I told you 299. If you go back to the beginning of these episodes, I'm a completely different person, right? Like, I look different because I had hair. But in the very beginning, I wasn't showing my face. I had so many insecurities. I was nervous about how I looked, how I showed up, whether I was being authentic, what would people resonate with me? Like, would you understand this PG countiness that comes up and everything? Was I being too uh faith forward? Was I, I it was so many different things. And I had a conversation with my therapist. This is some months ago again. So again, so let me back up real quick. Even in a part of the decision, I was procrastinating. So this is again, my self doubt has been showing up throughout this whole thing. Like I was delaying the process or the process of whatever it is I need to have. Because in the midst of me not even knowing what I was supposed to be doing, I also was not moving. I was like stuck. Like my self doubt had me paralyzed where I just could not move forward one way or the other. Like I couldn't move forward and say I wanted to record and just figure out something or that I wanted to end it. Right. And I think that that was because it was this internal turmoil of like, well, which direction do I go in? Right. And so I had started out by like, okay, I'm just going to do interviews because I enjoy doing those. I did. And then I recognized that when it came time to kind of do the interviews, I I have every intention of going back to. There's a handful of people that never got an opportunity to get on the podcast because of my decision to sunset it. So I have been thinking about it, like what that's going to look like. Because at the end, I don't like burning bridges, but I also want to honor the space that God has given me, right? And so I'm just trying to figure out what that would look like. It may look like something completely different, but I still have those names. I still have people that when stuff comes up, like a friend that I met over the years. She posted something not too long ago and said that she was writing a book and that her book was coming out in 2026. And she just was basically saying, like, I'm open to interviews, blah, 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 podcast, yada, yada, when it's time for her to do her book tour or whatever have you. And I was like, since you're going to bring me out of retirement. And so whatever that looks like, I don't know, but I'm willing to give her the platform and the space to be able to do that because I want to celebrate my friend, right? And so I think that what ends up happening sometimes is that sometimes having to make a decision this important is tough, right? Because also it's a part of my legacy, right? The legacy of slaying self doubt and what it looks like. Like my kids watch me build this from the ground up. My kids watch me, heard me during COVID, during these interviews, and saying, "Oh, mommy's recording. You got to go do this," or whatever the case may be. Like watch me build this, right? And so then there was some guilt about that too. Like, what does that look like if I just stop? And the thing about it was I wasn't just stopping. I'm shifting. I'm pivoting. It's not a hey end all. Like I'm not giving up slaying self doubt. Trust and believe. I put too much blood, sweat, tears, and money into this name for me to just be like, I don't want it anymore. I just know that in order for me to go that way, I have to let this go. And once I was able to make peace with the fact that it wasn't a failure, that I had to get over the shame, I had to get over the guilt, that I had to get over the letting the people down, whoever they may be, and realize that it wasn't about that. It's about me and God. Like, Lord, what do you want me to do? What is the next step? And he was at a stalemate too because I think that he knew that I knew that knew what I was supposed to be doing, but I wasn't trying to do it right. And so it's just one of these things where I was in a session with my therapist and we're talking about it, and I just was telling like I'm struggling, but I know that I have to do something. I got to make a move, bro. Like I can't just keep sitting in this spot, but I just don't know. And so I was like, hold on, let me look at something real quick. And went and looked at the number of episodes that I had left. No, that I had done. And so I think I was at like 296. Yeah, so 7, 8, 9. Yep. I was at 296. And that was the last episode that I had done. It was an interview. And so I said, so this might have been that episode. I'm looking at my thing. That episode was actually 8 months ago. So I don't even know how long that ago that. So it's like April, something like that. So I'm having this conversation with her in like September, October. And so I just basically say like, I think I'm going to have to sunset it. Like I think that's the best decision is to sunset it. And so then she was just like, okay. And so I said, um, I can do 4 episodes and I'll end at 300 episodes. Like that is crazy, right? And immediately, peace. Immediately, peace. Like I had peace about it and was just like, hmm, what was the struggle really? The struggle wasn't letting it go because I knew I had to do that. It was the how. It was the how I was going to do it, how I was going to put this down, how I was going to shift from one thing to the next. And I needed to do it in a way that honored me, that honored what God gave me, and then also to a certain aspect to honor you all as well. Like for some of you, you've been on this journey since episode 1 when I was recording in my basement, right? Um, and we've had conversations about the topics and this, that, and the third. And I just, I didn't want to leave it just like me. That's the end of that, right? Because this is the end of an era. It's the end of a season. It's an end of, um, it's the end of the podcast, right? And so yeah, it's every time I think about, so here's the other part, right? Even in this and getting to these last 4 episodes, like I knew I cannot, mind you, I say we had this conversation in like October, it's September. I think it was like September. And no, it wasn't. You know why it wasn't? Because it was like August. And I remember saying, I could get this done in September, be done with it. And she was just like, you going too far. Just start, just record, figure it out. And here we are, December. And clearly self-doubt came up again, right? And the self-doubt that came up was just like, man, I'm really about to let this go. Like I'm really about to sunset it. And I have some sadness around that. Like sadness that it is the end of an era, but also sadness that I may or may not get this opportunity again in this way. But the truth of the matter is that I don't know. I don't know what's next. I have an idea of what I want, but I don't know if that is even going to be. Like this is the part of obedience, right? The truth of the matter is that 90% of the time on this podcast, we have talked about obedience. Obedience is what led me here. Obedience is what led me to even start the podcast. Obedience is what led me to quit my job. Obedience is what led me to lean in and allow God to do whatever it is that He was going to do to get me to this place, right? And so here we are again with obedience. This is where we are. We're again, I am here with obedience. And sometimes obedience isn't always about starting. Sometimes it's about stopping too. And I say this at the top that is, even a God thing sometimes has to end, right? You ever been, I don't, again, we're just going to tell my own story here. I've had plenty of friendships, situationships, relationships, whatever, where it seemed so great. Like the season that we were in, amazing. Like whatever it was that period of time that we were in that season, me and that person, great. But then it came a point where it like intuitively, like I knew in my gut, I knew in my soul that this person could not go any further with me. This person, where I was going, I couldn't take them with me. Now, if they ended up there, that's their business. But for me, the direction that God was taking me in meant that this friendship, this person had to stay right here. There are some relationships that you are moving and y'all are moving together, right? And you're going in the same direction. You're growing. Even if it's at different spaces, it's still going in a forward direction. There are opportunities that I've had over the years that while it was happening, it was great. And then it ended. You know, we can all look back over the last, at least, you know, if you're in our age, right? In um 40s. You can look back in your life over your life and be like, dang, the last 20 years, there's a lot of things I started and then stopped. For whatever reason, the reason why you stopped, whether it was something in you that said that you need to do something different, whether it was it just didn't work out, whatever the case may be, there are times that we stopped and we stopped doing something that we had started, right? I would have it that the things that we stopped doing prepared us for what was next. In some cases, not every case, but in some case, because letting go creates room for new opportunities. And remember earlier, I was saying something about the holding on to the tree and holding on to the grass, right? When you are, one hand is up and the other hand is below, and you're really trying to hold on to what is happening, whichever one you let go of, your other hand is open, right? And we have talked about this on here that you cannot receive anything that God has for you if your hands are closed, because you're holding on too tight, because you refuse to let go, because you're unsure of your doubt, your fear, your insecurity, whatever it is. You do not have room to receive anything else if your hands are closed. And so this opportunity or this decision allows me to open both my hands, because my hands were wrapped tightly around this microphone. Like, this is my vehicle. This is what God called me to do. This is what I'm going to be doing. And oftentimes God gives us the opportunity and we make that opportunity bigger than God. And if I'm I think that where I struggled in this battle of what was next was because I said this was the way. I said this is how I was going to do what it is that God told me to do. This was my vehicle. This was my platform. I didn't, the other things that have come up that He is giving me like a little nudge on or prompting. Not I ain't it. No, 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 no. It's the podcast. It's the podcast. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. And the truth of the matter is that over this time, there have been times that I have not been obedient in the pivoting or the shifting or the changing of whatever was supposed to happen because I thought I knew better. And now I am mature enough to say that I didn't. And I wanted what I wanted because I was chasing the wrong thing. In that moment, I may have, because here's the thing. During that time, I wasn't working, right? And so here I am trying to create a lifestyle that I was watching. Let's be honest here, people. 2020 hit and everybody was on social media. Everybody was selling a course. Everybody was doing all the things. And again, if you go back, there's lots of times where I was like, I just don't understand why I can't just do what God called me to do in the first place. Like, why does it have to? Because I was being influenced by other people to change what it was supposed to look like to make it appeasable and make it palatable for the masses, right? Create this, do this, start that, blah, blah, blah. And the thing about it is that because I thought that that was the right way, I did it. And now I can look back and say you were being flesh led, right? Because you were watching all these people who allegedly had, 6, 7 figures tell you that what you need to do is create a lead magnet and go ahead and the people will get it for $27, blah, 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 blah. Girl, the Lord ain't tell you to do that. He didn't tell you to create that. He told you to turn this mic on and share what he downloaded in you. That was it. Wasn't nothing else. I've said from the beginning, I never knew if this was supposed to make me any money. And to this day, I still don't know. I don't think that that's what it was for. I don't believe I don't believe that this was an avenue that was supposed to be monetized. What I believe, and I will continue to be in prayer on it, I think it was to shed light on something that all of us go through, all of us struggle with, but nobody wants to say anything. I think it was an opportunity for me to create a space specifically for me because God knew this. What I know for sure is this is a God-given assignment. This is my purpose. However it manifests is completely up to him. But what I'm supposed to talk about, what burdens me, or the thing that is my testimony to be able to help others and to be able to talk about on panels and on the podcast or in speaking engagements or whatever the case may be, is how we show up and how we allow self-doubt to keep us from God's promise. He has something in store for each and every one of us. And the problem is we let fear, doubt, insecurity stop us from even trying. And so to me, I feel like this was my proof. This right here is my track record. This right here, this podcast is the thing that in the future, when I get scared, I can be like, but you recorded, edited, and published 300 episodes. Not ever did you have anybody help you. Not ever did you created this from the ground. You figured out how to do it and you did it. So why can't you do the next thing? Why is the next thing scary? This is my proof. What the old people say, the proof is in the pudding. This is my proof that's in the pudding. I've already executed this. I have created exactly what I was called to create during that time. And in order for him to give me more and for me to figure out what is next, I have to put this down. I have to set it down and I got to go back to him and say, okay, Lord, what's next? These are the things that I would like to do, but I want you to tell me what's next. Next may be you take that same energy and you pour it into your family. Next might be you take that same energy and you pour it into the job that I bless you with. Take that same energy and pour it into building your health and getting healthier. Like, I have no idea. It don't have to be business related. And I think that oftentimes what we think is that, okay, God, I got to birth another business in me. At this point, I do not care. I just want whatever it is that he wants for me to do. And to do is scared, because this is proof. I say it all the time. Whenever I'm places, when you see me, I am slaying my self-doubt. Slaying self-doubt is me. It is my brand. It is me, because that is what I do every time I open up my mouth. And so if nothing else ever comes for this, like on a public platform, it does not matter, because I am slaying self-doubt. Period. Okay, what they be saying? All right, that's it. The fact that is enough for me. And I don't know how long it had to get to this point. I guess it's taken 6 years for it to get to this point. But that is enough for me to just say I am slaying my self-doubt. I do, this is what I did. It's not who I am in certain aspects, but I got an opportunity to do this, and whatever God blesses me with the next, I'm excited for it and I'm ready. And so I want to talk to you now before we end this and give you some encouragement, right? Because I think that we started this journey talking about, hey, share the things that scare you, right? Ask yourself the question, what's the thing that's holding me back? Ask yourself the question, what is God asking me to do that I'm scared to do? And why am I scared of doing it, right? What's the worst that can happen? We started this journey trying to figure out what was the thing that was keeping us stuck and keeping us from slaying our self-doubt. And I want to give you an opportunity to ask yourself the same thing. Is there something you need to let go of? And you're not letting it go because you're afraid. You're not letting it go because of self-doubt. You're not letting it go because of shame, because of guilt, because of your insecurities, or whatever the case may be. I will, what I will tell you is this: no matter whether it is starting something, letting something go, sunsetting it, moving on, saying no, obedience always listens to freedom, leads to freedom and purpose. Obedience always leads to freedom and purpose. Whatever it is that God is telling you to do that. I know that it is difficult to make a move when you are unsure of how it's going to end up. We have said, I told you, my pastor said this, out obedience is your responsibility. Outcome is God's. You have to trust God with the outcome of your obedience. It's not ours. That's what we want. We want definitive answers of what this is going to look like. Even me sunsetting this, sis, I have no idea if I had peace about it, so that's how I know it's the right decision. But I have no idea what's coming next. I literally do not know. I don't know what's coming next. I can't tell you that. But what I know for certain is that I will never know until I do this. And so my encouragement to you is that whatever that thing is that God is telling you to do now, you will never know what is on the other side of it until you do it. I do not care what it is. If it is writing a book, starting your own podcast, getting your health together, making a phone call, sending that text, apologizing, asking for forgiveness, giving your life to Christ, applying for the job, quitting the job. I do not know. Whatever that thing is, I am telling you, trust God with the outcome of your obedience. I ain't telling you it's going to be all gravy at the end. Baby, if you know, you know. When I left my job in June 28th, 2019, there is no way you could have told me there would have been a global pandemic that kept me home for 4 years without a job, figuring out how I was going to help support my family, going through the emotional toll of that, just all the things that happened to then end up in ministry. That is not how I thought that was going to end. I had a plan. I was going to be off for work until the following year, and then I was going to go get another job. That's what I was supposed to do. But God had other plans. He needed me here with my family, being a short order cook, a teacher, a janitor, and a wife, a mother, all of that stuff at the same time. He needed me here. Right. And so had I not taken that first leap of faith to say, I'm just going to quit I'm just going to, because that ain't how that happened either. But if he had not given me that first thing, like, it's time, you got to go. This is what's about to happen. Had I not just been obedient in that, I have no idea what would have happened. But what I know for certain is that I don't regret it. I don't regret the obedience. I don't regret taking the chance. I don't regret the leap. I don't regret just finding out. And I think what happens is that one thing's for certain, two things for sure. After this year, if you have security in anything other than God, I think that the world has proven nothing is secure. I am in the area, okay, where the people told you, get yourself a good government job and you're going to be set for life. Everybody I know that lives around here had themselves a good government job. And we just saw nothing, absolutely nothing is guaranteed. That's it. That is it. Like, I was having this conversation with my husband earlier last week, and I just was like, when we start to think about it, the one place that you thought would never happen, which put me on alert. What's going on here? Right. And so, hey, at this point, Lord, what you telling me to do? Because around here, it's not giving what it's supposed to give, right? And so at this point, I'm willing to try whatever it is you want me to do because I can guarantee, even if it don't turn out the way I thought it would turn out, it's gonna be better than what I think it's supposed to be. And to this day, I am grateful of my journey. I've been asked before, like, any regrets? Are there things that I wish I could have done differently? Over my, maybe, I don't know, it's probably like one or two things. But then also, when I think if I did the opposite of what actually happened, then other things wouldn't have happened and I still wouldn't have ended up here. So then the answer is kind of like no ish. And then, there's not anything really. Nah, yeah, I got nothing, right? So it's different, right? And it's maybe not what I thought when I was like 16, 17. But what I know for sure is that God has never left me. I say often that God don't play about me. I have had struggles. I have had tough days. I have had tough years. And through it all, every time I surrender, every time I just throw my hands up and be like, all right, Lord, what is it that you're calling me to do? I will do the next thing. What is the next thing you want me to do? And I just do that. In the end, it all works out. And so my encouragement to you is to surrender. Surrender and just allow God to use you in the way that He is calling you to be used, and to not intentionally put yourself in a situation where I don't know, like to not put yourself intentionally in the situation where you've put yourself at the center and you try and figure out how you got there, right? Again, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be exactly what it is. It ain't going to be glittery and in gold and shiny, and it ain't even, child, baby, depending on how you live, and it ain't even going to be Instagrammable. Okay, some of the stuff that we go through, you can't post it because it get real, right? And some stuff ain't meant for the world. I had somebody recently say, like, I ain't really seen you on social. And I'm like, because I'm living in real life. The stuff I want you to see, I want you to see. And all the other stuff before was really because I was on this, like, oh, you gotta post 3 times a day, da 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 da, whatever, whatever. And now I'm just like, I'm working. I have a kid that's about to go to college. I am in my mid 40s, and life is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So I'm busy. I don't have time to post on social media. So yeah, if you know me in real life, you see me. If not, I don't know. I'll see you when I see you. You may catch a couple of stories here and there when I feel the need, but for the most part, I'm moving forward with my life because that's how life is. I can't stop. My life is not designed that way, right? And that's fine, and I'm okay with it. But I know that meant that I had going forward, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say about this. Being obedient also means that things will change in your life. Being obedient means that the way I show up and how I do things is completely different. Some of that also comes with age. I ain't really got it. You know what I'm saying? So it's maturity, it's growth, it is where God has me. I don't know, it's just different. That's all I got. I don't really got nothing else. So if I want to, I will. If I don't, I won't. And I'm okay with that, right? So yeah. So this is episode 299. We have one more episode before we officially sunset the podcast. That will happen before 2025. I can guarantee you that, because I want to walk into 2026 free. I want to walk into 2026 free and not being weighed down by the heaviness of sunset in this podcast. I want to be able to walk into the new year and evolve into wherever God has me. That's actually my word for 45. last year. So I have a word every birthday. God gave me a word like 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's 2020. Yeah. So when I turned 43, it was release. That was the first word he downloaded. And then last year was stronger. And then this year was evolving. And so, you can keep following me on social media. I'm still going to be here. And I encourage you to watch me evolve as you evolve as well. Okay. So, yeah, the last episode, we will have final words and, that'll be the last episode of Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. That's so crazy. But I just want to thank y'all. I'm going to thank every episode. Thank you every episode for being here, for being a part of this journey, for tuning in, for sharing, for any support that you have ever given me over these last 6 years. I am grateful for you, and I thank you so much that you were here and then you were a part of this journey and a part of this era of my life. So, I love you much. As always, thank y'all so much for rocking with me again. Trying to share this with at least 10 people. We still are trying to hit 100,000 downloads. If we can, that would be great. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Slaying Self Doubt. Until next time, keep slaying, sis. See ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.